Progress.
All right. Hello, everyone. So this is officially episode 3 of Shift Your Life. So it's like we're stacking up the holidays or celebrations, which kind of goes in line with what we're going to talk about today, love and connection. So last time we were here, about a week ago, we were celebrating Courtney's birthday, her 21st birthday.
Yes,
good job, Courtney.
For sure. Thanks.
Yeah.
So much life experience in these 21 years.
And today, we're going to be talking a little bit about Valentine's Day. But before we get too far into this episode, who are Jen and Courtney? So we are the co-founders and owners of Shift. We believe in liberating women from the defeat of the diet industry, rediscovering their amazing self and confidence, and finally getting the results and keeping them for a lifetime. So if you're wondering if we're like any kind of diet, we're not. We're actually quite the, we call ourselves lovingly the anti-diet. So with that being said, you're in a good place if you're looking to just rediscover yourself and some love for you and others today. So good place on Valentine's Day. So let's talk a little bit about anybody gonna probably going on to dinner or something like that tonight, right? It's not gonna be tonight for me, but it's probably gonna be this weekend. And I think one of the things that we find often in our culture is that we do a lot of celebrating through food. I know for me myself, I came from a household where we showed love and connection through food, and I got to say, it was a little bit of shame and guilt associated with it, which we're going to talk about today. But that was one of the ways that I knew that I was safe and that I was loved. And that really carried on into my adulthood. So it's not uncommon now that I love to host parties and I like to have people over and I like to create environment and connection through food. So let's go ahead and get started a little bit on that topic, Courtney.
Yeah. So I think that, as I look back on my journey, so some of you know, if you followed this, like I had an eating disorder and disordered eating for a very long time. And I think back to the emotions that would show up anytime there was a family function, right? Or it was I was married when I was younger to not to bring into someone else. And there was all this emotion of like, I'm supposed to want to do this, but I would, we'd go to dinner or we'd have drinks or we'd do whatever. And I never enjoyed any of it. Like when I really think back, you guys, on how much of my life I missed because I was like in a worried state and a fear state. And I didn't enjoy it because, like, God forbid I have dessert on a Tuesday, right? Like that wasn't allowed. Like I was only allowed to have dessert on Saturday. Like seriously, like, and so even if the food was good, like I never enjoyed it. And there was all this fear and guilt and shame. And I just think back about just missing life because of that fear, right? And not understanding what that was doing to myself, but also to the people that you're with, right? Like when you're not wanting to participate. I've gotten a lot of like loving harassment from my family back in the day of like Thanksgiving and, Christmas and all these different holidays when I didn't want to participate in the food. And I didn't understand at that point that like my needs were different than their needs. And that was why there was so much conflict. So I think there's so much wrapped around this when we're, in a diet mentality or we're trying to shift our body of what we're supposed to do and not supposed to do. And we fall back into all the rules and it's just it's really a defeating energy that we want to give you guys some tips on how to think differently about it maybe, and how to shift the way you feel about it. So Jen, when you think back with your relationship with food, with, family or a significant other, like what are some of the core feelings that you used to have?
Yeah, I there's love, there was safety, but there was also a sense of experience. So let me share a little bit of a story with you. Okay. Yeah. So I think a lot of you probably, or some of you, if you don't know this about me, it kind of comes up a lot because he's my why. So my dad and I had kind of a little bit of a spoiled relationship, I would say. And the reason I say that is because unfortunately my dad got sick when I was really young. I was about 8 when he started having some symptoms, and then he was fully disabled by the age of 10. And while it's not amazing to have a father who has a health issue, what that ended up creating for us was a sense of connection and dependency technically on each other that was in a way indestructible. Okay. So we did all the things together, all the things. And so most of my experiences that I think about were my dad, but one specifically that I remember around food. And by this point, just also keep in mind, y'all, that I was using food to cope. with a lot of things that were going in my life as a kiddo. And my dad knew that, right, in a way. And so he wanted to create the sense of like, we get to go get ice cream. I was like, yeah, like what 10-year-old doesn't want to go get ice cream, right? But it ended up being into this habit where my mom would go take English lessons twice a week. And they were about 2 hours. And right across the street, there was an ice cream shop. So every Tuesday and Thursday, we'd go drop mom off. And I knew what was next. We'd go to the ice cream shop. We'd have this experience. And it was just the thing that we ended up doing. And it created this sense of like stability as well, in a way. So all that to say that unfortunately my dad did pass when I was 18, but I had like this weird, and I say weird because I'm not a huge ice cream lover, weird connection with ice cream. And it wasn't necessarily that I figured out that I wanted the ice cream, it's that I missed my dad. And so I wanted to recreate that experience by enjoying that moment, but things had shifted in my life and I was no longer able to. So that's, that's some of the feelings that come up for me. And as I went to my calorie counting journey and my Weight Watchers journey, ice cream is a high point thing. You can't have ice cream, can't eat ice cream. But yet the more I couldn't eat it, the more I wanted it. Right. Yeah. But if I knew that that was connected to dad and where that all stemmed from, it kind of changes the meaning of it.
Yeah. So that's one of the things we want to chat with you guys about. And I have a crazy dog rolling around on the floor beside me. So don't mind Hector. But so when we think about this, you guys, a lot of times if you're in the diet culture and you're in that kind of place, and maybe you've had, a coach or a trainer or somebody tell you like food is just fuel, right? And we own a gym and we'll ask new clients that all the time, like, why do you eat? And the answer we get often is food is just fuel. And we're like, I'm sorry, but that's not true, right? So like if you guys have been told that, or you've tried to buy into that of like, oh, this is just fuel. Like, I'm going to give you permission right now to go, that's not true, right? We have 6 human needs. One of what, like the top 3 for most people are certainty, love and connection, and significance, in my opinion. Like everybody's needs are different. But if you think about, we live in a world where so much of what we do is connected to food, right? We're a tribal community. And so if all of a sudden you're on a diet and you're like, well, I can't eat that, all of a sudden you're like, everybody else is over there having fun and you're standing in the corner not wanting to do it. And then you wonder why you can't, quote unquote, stick to your plan. Well, it's because you want to feel like you're a part of something. You want to share in that. You want to enjoy the food, enjoy the community, enjoy the time with your dad, right? So we want you guys to understand that like you can have both. You can have the body you desire, you can have the results you desire, you can have all the experiences that you desire at the same time, right? So when we understand like this is my need for love and connection, how can I meet it differently? Or how can I just accept that like it's Valentine's Day and I'm not a huge like, oh, it's Valentine's Day, this is the special day that I show
every day is Valentine's Day. Just today's just a day we talk about it a little bit more.
Exactly. Like to me, you should be trying to show your significant other love all the time, right? That's just my opinion. And maybe we don't always, and it's a good reminder, but it's like you should be showing them that all the time. But if you want to go out, so we talk about date night, like we don't have enough date nights because we haven't made it a priority in the last few years, but we need to. But if Brandon and I go out and we want to have a really nice meal and we want to have an actual conversation without 15 interruptions, and I want to enjoy a glass of wine, like I have no guilt around it anymore, where I used to have so much guilt, because now I understand like that's my connection to him. And here's the thing, if I'm disconnected, and I lived like this for a long time, and like subconsciously I'm worried and I'm in fear and I'm thinking about all of the things and I've got to work it off tomorrow and all of that stuff, I'm not present, right? I'm not present in that relationship. I'm not actually enjoying that food. I'm not getting any of that. Okay. And here's a crazy fact, you guys, that I want you to listen to for a second. The state that you are in shifts how your body absorbs calories. Okay. So yet again, everything we talk about is things are not like nutrition's here and movement is here and spirituality is here and emotions are here. They are all tied together. So if you're in a state of fear or stress or guilt or all of those things, your metabolism is slower. Your body holds on to more of the food because you're in like fight or flight. Versus if you're in like an open place and you're like, this is amazing and you're having fun and you're enjoying it, your body's like, oh, we're good, right? Like we're not in fight or flight. I don't have to hold on to these calories. We're not in fear. We're not physiologically in a bad place. So when you're enjoying yourself and your mood and your state is elevated, your body actually, your metabolism is higher, right? So I just want you guys to like really sit with that of like, okay, if I'm in fear, my body holds on to more food than if I'm in abundance and joy and happiness. Okay, so there's another reason to, if you're going to eat the food, just enjoy the food, right? Like give away the guilt, be present in your relationships, understand that your need for love and connection, and know you don't need to feel guilty, and know you don't need to burden it off tomorrow, and know none of that stuff, right? So I think the fear thing for me, when I look back to it, was how much love and connection I missed out on, right?
Mm,
Like, guys, I used to go to parties and I would eat things and I would drink, and there was a lot of pressure of that. And I would go upstairs. One of my friends had a lot of parties, and I would go upstairs and throw up at these parties as an adult. Right. And like, do you think I was present? Do you think I was enjoying that? No, I wasn't. And a lot of my friends knew that I had food stuff. So then there was this more pressure to eat it and drink it and do all of the things, which was, they were trying to come from a good place, but it wasn't. Right. So we just want you guys to understand, like, food is so much more, right? It meets all 6 of those needs. And eventually on this podcast, we'll talk about all of them, but it meets all of those needs, right? Jen just talked about love and connection with her dad. That also meant her need for certainty. She was certain that she got time with her dad to have a treat, to enjoy food every Tuesday and Thursday. Right. And I mean, if you think about, if you're a parent, like, we know it and we still do it. If you do XYZ, then I'll take you for ice cream. Right. And it's like, it's still made to be a treat. And I'm like, I know I don't even want to do that. And I still do it anyway. And so it's like, we have to just admit that that's part of how we show up, and stop blaming it, but like shift our relationship with it and make it just part of who we are as humans, and understand that that's totally fine. And you can still have all of those things that you want in your life.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. And again, beyond just like family and friends, I know as a corporate leader for a number of years, one of the ways that we showed connection as peers and coworkers was to go to a happy hour, to go to a dinner afterwards, right? And some of that is a little bit of pressure of, you're going to show up, you're not going to show up, why you're not showing up, why you're not drinking, and all those questions, right? But it's we show love and connection, and we receive love and connection through food in multiple different avenues, right? Our family, our friends, our peers, whatnot. Courtney, I want to shift the conversation for a second away from food.
Yep.
Okay. And talk a little bit about I believe loving the number one person in your life, which is you.
Yep.
And one thing we were kind of chatting about before we jumped on this podcast today was that you're only able to receive as much love as you're able to give yourself, right? So what you give yourself, you basically receive, right? And so if we're in a place where we're not loving who we are, what we see, trusting ourselves, then it's hard to be in a place of receiving that from other people, right? So for me today, Valentine's Day is, it's a day of community, but it's also a day of kind of rediscovering all the amazing qualities that we have in ourselves as women. We just talked about kiddos. And one of the things we often don't give ourselves credit for, and my journey is a little different, both of my kiddos came from foster care, is the fact that our amazing bodies, like, how epic are they, right? And if we're able to love all that they do for us, whether it's get to go for a workout or get to do whatever movement, but also get to bring life into this world, that's awesome. So with that being said, self-love for me is a big theme for today. How about yourself, Courtney?
No, I totally agree. And I mean, as someone who didn't love myself for a very long time, it really is. And I know I want you guys to think about it. Self-love can mean a lot of things to everybody, right? They can mean totally different things. It can mean, like, how are you showing love to yourself? Like, are you taking bubble baths? Are you whatever? But to me, self-love is, if I'm actually connected mind and body, and I was not for a very long time. So if I'm actually connected mind and body, and I love myself, and I love my physical body, and I love my spirit, then I need to listen to it, right? So like, I need to listen if it says, hey, like, I got a hip thing going on right now, and it says, hey, that's a bad idea. Like, self-love is actually going, you know what? I love and respect you, and I'm not going to do those squats today. Whereas fear says, you got to do squats because it says we're doing squats today, right? And so
it's 75 hard.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to. But I hear you, right? It's not because we have to. Yeah.
Right. It's because you get to. And some days you get to go hard in the gym, and some days you get to take a nap in the middle of the day. And it's like, but it's truly loving. Like, I love all parts of me, right? You love all of those parts because, like you said, especially for moms. And I think there's so much pressure. Like, you have a baby and then you got to get your body back. Right. And we've talked about this in other places, but it's like, there's this pressure, and I put that pressure on myself. And then you stop and think, and you're like, over those 9 months, my body was smart enough, also give ourselves credit. Like, my body was smart enough to create an entire human with an entire set of organs that work. Like, That's insane. Like,
Yeah.
and again, if you guys don't trust your bodies, just lean into that for a second. If it can do that, it can probably figure out like all the things you're asking it to do if you would just trust it. Right. And so for me, self-love is just listening to myself, connecting with myself, like actually being able to say, I love you. Like I challenge, I invite, I don't challenge. I invite all of you to go look in the mirror and actually say like, I love you. And like, look at yourself and can you receive that? Because what Jen just said of you can only receive love as much as you feel it. That was very true for me. Like Brandon, I always just say like, I wish I saw what you see. Cause he's like, you're amazing. You're gorgeous. And I'm like, God, I wish I saw that. And so like, he could tell me all of the things, but my belief system got in the way of like, no, I don't. Like my legs look terrible. What are you talking about? Like I couldn't receive it. And when I started to go, I love myself for who I am and what I look like and all of the things that I am, when he said it, I could finally receive it. So you really got to think, you guys, if you want more love in your life, you have to be able to give it to yourself. And the first way is just saying, I am enough no matter what, all the time, because I'm here. Like I was created in the way that I was supposed to be created. I don't believe in perfection, but perfectly as me. And that's the best I can be. And that's amazing. Right. And that doesn't mean we still don't want growth, but like, look in the mirror and say, I love you. Write it in red lipstick on your, if you have red lipstick, I don't know red lipstick, but if you have red lipstick,
I don't
write it on
either.
your mirror. Write it on your mirror. Read it every day until you believe it. But you know, I think, Jen, what do you think that I think there's a lot of commercialism in self-love. So like, what do you believe self-love really is?
I think it's a sense of understanding yourself, which sometimes means being present. And with that being said, as a very type A person, I can be, it's hard, y'all. Okay. But there's no, in my perspective, in my life, there's been no better way for me to build confidence and trust and love myself than really understanding and getting to know myself. I mean, y'all, when we think about it, we go to the happy hours, go on the dates, we go on the stuff all to get to know other people, to form other connections, right? To get, but the question is at the end of the day, do you know who you are? Right. And I think for me, that's been a journey of self-discovery, and I'll continue to be one. But once you, and I'm going to just say the word, once you discover how badass you are, it does not matter what other people may think. And I know we want approval, and I know we want words of affirmations from others, but once you discover it in your own self, once you get into that point of self-love, it's a game changer. So that's been self-love in my life. It's not necessarily about the stuff that I like go do, but it's actually the stuff and I just present with about me.
Yeah, I love it. Just being, right? A lot of us are afraid to be because we're not sure what's going to show up. But if you allow yourself to look deeper, like Jen said, like exactly who you're meant to be is under there. Sometimes we just have to get through the layers of BS that we've piled on top of it to realize that. So I guess my parting words would be like, know that you're loved, like know that you deserve to love yourself no matter what, no matter when, no matter where, no matter what anybody else says. And just find one thing you can do today to be grateful for yourself, grateful for your life, you know, your love, your connection, all of those things. So I know we're grateful for each other and we're grateful for all of you guys.
Yep.
Jen, what are your parting words?
Yeah, just say that, you know, Valentine's Day can have a whole bunch of meaning. It's not one day, okay, but it's about you are your own best self every day, and you get to love yourself every day. So just lean into that. You know, if you're looking for a little bit of an activity, I'm not going to present a challenge, but an invitation as well. Go find 2 or 3 things you love about yourself today and just say them in the mirror. Just say them, okay? And if you don't fully believe them yet, just say that you're in the process of loving yourself and that you're becoming, you know, your own best friend. But again, we're here not just for the commercialization of Valentine's Day, but realizing that you are worthy and you are enough. So with that being said, this was episode 3 of Shift Your Life. We are so excited to continue to share and to serve you in this capacity. If you like what you hear, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Follow us in our own Facebook group at Shift, the number 2, a better you, better you. And Courtney and I are always here to answer any questions. You can send us any questions, comments, concerns, and I also say emotional outbursts at totalshiftproject@gmail.com. So thank you all. Having a great day and go love yourself.
See you next week.